Hey everybody, it's Ryan from Pi Records, and I'm here with the Mimics. How are you guys?
Good.
We're great.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Um, First, let's start off by you introducing yourselves and what instruments you play.
I'm Mike. I'm the guitarist slash bassist of the band.
And lead singer.
Oh,
When
and
that
lead singer.
happens.
And lead singer.
I'm Andy Koss. I'm the bassist slash guitarist for the band.
Cool.
And I'm Andrew Rigg. These guys didn't mention it, but they're brothers. I am the drummer, and that is all. There is no slash.
Awesome. A couple of things I noticed about your music. One is that it's really kind of in parts really heavy, and I don't even know if it's punk or metal inspired. What's your take on that?
So the answer there is yes, it's both of those. So I would like to call our style like surf punk. A lot of that is drawn from that 90s surf revival. So, right, Dick Dale started putting albums out again. You had bands like Manor Asherman on the scene showing what could be done from that punk style infusion into the surf rock. Like, get on stage, throw a great show, just get crazy, right? Like you did at the punk scene back in the 90s, right? So we also call it like, right? People online will say, hey, surf is metal without this distortion.
Yeah.
Well, we take our surf and we say, well, we put that distortion right back in there.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, plenty of reverb.
I love the title Surf Royale with cheese.
Yeah.
Because that kind of is a throwback, like you guys are currently doing music but inspired by that wave, and I think it's very aptly titled.
Yeah, we try to use that. At times we get a lot of people going, oh, surf rock, what's that? I'm like, well, have you seen Pulp Fiction? And they're like, yes. I'm like, that soundtrack. Like,
yeah, totally.
Oh, light bulb.
You also have to interject, no, it's not the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. How many times have you been asked that question?
Too many, way too many.
You mean like the Beach Boys?
No.
Not that there's anything wrong with the Beach Boys, but it just had the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. We went the other direction.
Yeah, yeah. So Live and Loud, that was released in 2019. Now,
Yep.
it sounds to me like you guys went into a studio and played straight through. I didn't hear any audience noise. Is that the case?
No, so that was a live show, and they had a guy there that does professional recordings, and all the mics were real close to the equipment. And when we mixed them, we mixed it down to try to make it sound as studio quality as possible, because it was a couple years before we went to the studio.
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved the sound of it, and like you said, it is studio quality, so it was kind of hard to tell if you guys went into the studio or not. It sounds really great.
Yeah, unfortunately, there weren't many mics out in the area to get the crowd reactions. We thought about like overdubbing some of that in there, like the laugh tracks.
Well, that's cool. I know from being in a band before, when you can get a mix off the audio board, it's like that's like payment enough right there when you get the audio guy to get you some tracks.
Yeah, it was great. Those guys that place has since moved on, and now it actually does, like, because all the bands kept doing it, they now do their own thing with all, like, we'll just record it and release it ourselves.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was our first foray, because we're like, we need to get something out here, because we kept having people ask us, hey, what do you sound like? Do you have a demo? And we're like, well, we're getting ready to go in the studio, so no. But we did that show, got the recordings. I mixed that together over about a month, and then we did that release. So we had a filler while waiting for our actual studio album to come out.
That's a really cool idea as your first release to be a live album. When you say filler, I mean, were you constantly saying, All right, here's our new songs in live form. Um, Here's what you think, or is it that you were consciously thinking about putting out a live album first of your new material?
We weren't consciously thinking about putting out the live album first.
Right. What I think was more than anything is we had a lot of music we wanted to record, and we were finishing up a handful of more songs so we'd have a full length album in the studio. But we did have a good chunk of music that was tight, and we wanted to get it out right away. So we just jumped on a chance to get the first thing out we could, because like Mike said, there were a lot of people asking us, do you have anything recorded? Is there anything I can listen to?
And how long were you a band before you decided to put that out?
Kind of an interesting question. I'll let Mike handle this one.
I mean, existence of the band has been way too long. So Andy and I started playing surf when we were in high school. We got introduced to it by a buddy of ours, his dad, who grew up in SoCal. And he's just like, hey, I'm going to teach you guys some songs here. So we learned these things. We learned Mizzaloo, Penetration, Outer Limits, Pipeline. And then we went to our first Dick Dale show, and it was just floored. Like, this is awesome, right? Like, this is a totally new style of music that we hadn't seen, because being musicians and not really like focusing on vocals, like seeing like music that was all about the guys playing their parts and being up there, like the bass has a role, the guitarist has a role, the drum has a role. They all work together to make the music, because you're replacing what was that vocalist with everybody else. Like, we can do this. So we picked up a drummer in high school. We played around a little bit, kept it going through college a little bit, but that kind of like petered off after
You
college.
started off naming yourself the Mimics, right?
Yeah, from day one, that was the
What's that,
Mimics.
1996?
Something like that.
96,
Thanks for putting a
97.
date on it.
It's been a long time.
That would have been,
90s,
like 90.
98.
97,
98.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met these guys in 2013. I had a band that was going to play a show, and one of my buddies in that band was friends with Mike and Andy for years, and had them on the bill to open. And in 5 minutes before they hit the stage, he said, "Oh, by the way, you're playing drums for them. They play." So that was the first time I ever met him. That was 2013. And after that set, which amazingly was not a train wreck really at all, it was a lot of fun. Right afterwards, I asked him, "Hey, can we start a band? Can we get this going?" And about 3 years later, we did.
Yeah, we practiced a little bit on and off, but like our work schedules were not meshing at the time. And then finally I said, that's it. I'm gonna make this happen, cut a hole in my schedule. And then we kicked it off with a random opening for Daikaiju when they came to town.
Wow.
I knew a buddy that had a connection to the venue that they were playing at and talked our way into opening for them. So it's like, hey, I booked us. Let's start practicing.
100%.
Your music in Daikaiju very intense, very intense. So how did Daikaiju's audience kind of react to your music?
Oh, they loved it.
Yeah, they liked it a lot.
It was funny because it was we play a couple of Daikaiju songs. We, like every surf band, have a bunch of covers, right? Whether it's just instrumental versions or covering other surf songs. So we play a couple of Daikaiju songs, and it was during that show we decided to play one of theirs at like towards the end of the set. We didn't ask. And we just played it.
We just did it.
The guys were there, so like they hear that song, the crowd starts coming into the room like, oh, is this them starting? And then they see us, and it's like they hang out. Daikaiju was there in the back setting up. They come to the front and they start recording us with their cameras.
Yeah, all four of them had their phones out, their cameras, big smiles, recording us play their song.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because we didn't hang out with them beforehand because they got there a little bit late. So we're opening up doing that. And we start hanging out with them afterwards. They're like, oh my gosh, that was so awesome. Like, we have not heard the song played that way because we don't do it that way anymore.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Those in their albums are way different.
So 2021 comes and you have Surf Royale come out. Now, was that the songs that you were talking about that you had written, or was it kind of like a quarantine project?
So, funny story.
It It was songs we had written, and we actually recorded that right before quarantine shut everything down. And then we finished the mixing, mastering, artwork of the album during quarantine, and we sat on it until it ended.
Yeah.
So we sat on
Okay.
it about a year before we released it.
It was longer than that.
It was almost 2 years because we'd started the recording in the end of 2019, right? And then we were doing the mixing and going back and forth. And then quarantine happened. So we're just like, well, there's no reason to push this out because we can't tour, we can't promote it besides just putting it out on the web and hoping that it sticks.
It gave us time to work with Gray and the artwork.
Yep.
So did you end up releasing a physical version of it?
Yep. So
Yep.
it's on CD. So the CD version of it, it's a cool setup that we did. So we like to put themes and stuff together.
Too bad you don't have one here.
I know, right? It's in a bifold, and it's actually one long piece of artwork. So like you could literally just open the case up and put it sideways. And looking at it across that, we had a buddy of ours do the painting for it. So that way,
Wow.
like, it's not just a CD. It's like it's actually something that you would be like, oh, you could open that up, put it out, take a look at it.
Awesome. I have not seen that. So describe the picture for me.
There's a place in Nazar, I think it's Portugal, Portugal, where they have this gigantic waves. They have the biggest waves in the world there. And honestly, absolutely insane people go and surf that thing. It's like 100-foot waves, and there's a pier there with a red lighthouse at the end of the pier where everyone stands and watches it. It's basically a painting of that whole scene.
Oh, wow.
So that's the one half. And then when you open it up across to the back half, then there was a picture of me with my short hair and one of my other guitars standing in the water with the guitar in one hand and a surfboard in the other, about to go out into the waves. That was
Nice.
what we put together for it.
Nice. Yeah. So now that that's out and you wanted to have something to tour with, have you guys been playing a lot of shows? And whereabouts in your area that have you been playing?
We've been playing all over Cincinnati. We probably average 2 shows a month, maybe. Just anywhere from northern Kentucky to Dayton, Ohio, just kind of in that area, about a 50-mile strip.
Yeah.
Haven't really moved out past that.
We haven't gone and tried to do any touring yet because it's still just been this weird area trying to get back out from all the quarantine of
Exactly.
We played a handful of shows over the winter time, and it would literally be, it's a running joke obviously in the scene, but it would be just the bands there and some of the close friends would be the only ones that show up. The bars would be empty. The bars would only be half full. They don't have enough staff to run them.
Yeah.
So it's now just starting to open up a bit more so we can do stuff. We did our official album release last summer, and that was a pretty decent show.
Yeah.
But trying to get hyped for it took almost 2 months worth of promoting to get, more than just 2 handfuls of people to show up.
Trying to get everyone else who had time for opening bands to show up, going down to all the way down the bottom of the list of everybody you can find because this guy's got COVID or that guy's got COVID or this guy can't because that.
So-and-so quit, so we're looking for a new instrument. Yeah.
Or we bail on shows the day of because the drummer got COVID again. Yeah, that's happening.
Yeah. So you guys are from Ohio?
Yep. Southwest Ohio.
Yep, Cincinnati.
Awesome. So you guys aren't, relatively speaking, you're not too far from Philadelphia.
No.
That's where we are right now.
All right.
Okay, perfect.
Look at that. Connecting the East Coast with the Midwest.
So
Zone.
you have any thoughts about coming to Philly and playing with on a Philly show?
Oh, hell yeah.
We've actually talked about playing in Philly and New York a handful of times.
There's Clark from Wiped Out in New York, and Bad Tide from New York, and then there's Sloy and the Boats from Philadelphia. If you guys ever want to reach out and play shows, I think you fit in well with Wiped Out.
Yeah. I've seen those guys online. some of their posts and pictures. So yeah, we definitely would mesh.
So, what's next for you guys? How can people get a hold of you if they want to book a show or buy your music?
Well, so music's available on every single streaming platform and digital purchase platform. Merchandise purchasing right now, if you want a physical copy, is best way to get a hold of us is either through our Instagram or our Facebook. And both of those is where we typically put out notices for all of our shows as they get booked. Which right now they're not up there because I literally just finished all of our booking last week. So I have my weekend ahead of me. And best way to get a hold of us, same deal. You can also, if you're looking for booking, it's booking@themimics.org.
Awesome.
So we got a fancy email address and all that. And
So you say you just got done booking. Is it going to be a pretty busy summer for you guys?
between now and August, I think we've got about 5 or 6 shows lined up.
Awesome.
So I'd call that pretty busy since this is not our full-time gig. It's our part-time musician. Yeah.
Well, are there any notable bands you might be playing with, or are you going to keep that a surprise?
Ooh. Well, right now, some of them are a surprise. The other ones, we've got another local band here in the area that's about the same size as us, but that's local for the Cincinnati area. We're playing with the Nailers in July, but
Awesome.
no big names yet.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and accommodating my schedule. I know we had to push back a little bit, but I'm so happy to have you guys on the show. I really enjoyed getting to know your music, and like you said before, like when you saw Dick Dale, I mean, that was the way I felt when I heard your music for the first time, because I myself like thrash metal, and I totally get where you're coming from. So it resonated with me very much.
Yeah, that's exactly what we go for. Is he and I used to be in a metal band as well, so there's a lot of that thrash that comes across, especially when we play live. Like the studio album doesn't have it in there, but when it comes live, it's one of those things where, we just go crazy.
Awesome.
Quiet. No, nothing like when we play.
Well, thank you so much, guys. And
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks, Ryan.
oh yeah, man. Hope you guys, if you need anything help promoting anything, you want to come on again, always give me a shout.
Will do.
All right. Thank you.